Just before the winter break, we had our winter season, our fall season athletics and activities awards. And on that occasion, we were able to recognize all of the athletics achievements and all of the achievements in the activities. Just before the winter break, we had the arts assembly, where people were performing in drama and music. As soon as we got back, we had the service assembly. So then we had our activity, creativity, service assemblies. And this is the chance to round it all off and finish off semester one by looking at the two things that we haven't done yet. Thing number one is the Dolphin Awards. That's where we recognize the all-rounders, the students who have really done everything they could possibly do during the course of the last 4 months. And the other thing we have are our Learner Profile Awards, which we introduced last year, and you can see last year's winners on the screen behind me. Before we get started, no telephones. If you have a telephone, put it away. And no messing around over the next hour or so. This is an assembly where we take a couple of risks, because instead of me doing everything, I basically get the first 5 minutes and then disappear. We have different people presenting awards today. We have 8 students from grade 12 sitting, well, 7 of them are down the front, and the other one is at the back, messing around with the sound system. These are our students who you have seen on the stage very frequently over the last 5 to 6 years. They have dominated the Dolphin Awards. Between them, they've picked up 21 Diamond Awards, 15 Golds, 14 Silvers, and 17 Bronzes, just with the 8 times. They'll be presenting the Dolphin Awards today. I've given them a bit of a challenge. They have some criteria to meet as they present the awards. First of all, they need to do it with style and charisma, which I think is going to be tough in some cases, to be honest. They need to be able to pronounce the names of everybody on their section. Some of them may struggle. Some of them have done their homework, which was nice to see. They need to give the right certificate to the right person, which can be tough when you have a group of 10 or 11 on the stage. You can help them out when they say your name. You can step forward so they know who you are. Or if you want to be annoying, just stand there with a blank face and try to make them guess. Let's see how they get on. As well as the student presenters, we also have some teachers today, 10 of our teachers, who are going to be speaking on behalf of the Learner Profile Award winners. They've been doing their research, talking to other teachers about what these students have really brought to IICS over the past 4 months. So lots of different people up on the stage. Hopefully everything will work. Let's get started. You know I like to introduce things with numbers first of all, so we'll do that. We begin by figuring out how we're getting on with attendance. It's the number one criteria of being successful. Yeah, I can hear the chuckles from grade 12. Basically, attendance this year is slightly up from last year, which is good to see. 67% of you sitting in here are doing an excellent job. You have had no more than 4 or 5 days absent, which is terrific, because I know some of you have family requirements, you need to go away from time to time. Of course, people get ill every now and then. So to be in school 95% of the time, I think, is a good achievement. Grade 7 especially is doing a great job. If the blue line basically tells me how many students, the percentage of students in that grade who have excellent attendance. So generally good. Grade 12s, please remember where the campus is. The other thing we like to measure is activities participation. Not so obvious this time. Grade 8 and grade 12 are dominating the activities. Which is very nice to see. If we look at grade 8 in particular, almost 70% of students have been involved in both seasons. Hopefully this will continue when we do the spring season sign-ups, which should be happening in a couple of weeks. The grey lines that you see is the percentage of students who have not signed up for either season so far. That's a little high in grade 10 and 11. Let's see if that changes at the end of the year. Now the reason we do this never ending. All right. One thing I haven't done for a couple of years is to show you how this all connects. And it's the same story every year, and we don't quite know exactly why, but we see this trend every year. The students who attend every day, 117 of them have been here almost every day. They do better academically than the students who take a lot of time off. In fact, attendance, based on what I'm looking at here, seems to suggest a swing of a whole point per course if you've had up to 2 weeks off. And every time we do this, whether it's at the end of the first semester or at the end of the year, the statistics say the same thing. And they say exactly the same thing with the activities. Students who get involved in both seasons tend to be the ones who are doing better at school. That might be a message, hopefully, for those of you who are not here as often as you could be, and for those of you who are just not getting involved. It's the same story every year. It's not rocket science. It's fairly straightforward. So, let me explain how the Dolphin Awards work. We have grade 7 who have never been in one of these assemblies before, and we have about 40 new students as well who might have no idea what I'm talking about. We try to make our Dolphin Awards as objective as possible. What that means is we look for quantitative data, numbers, to make sure that we're not playing favourites here. We're not basing it on any subjective criteria. There are 12 points available. 1 point is available for attendance. You need to have been here 95% of the time to pick up that point. Second column, activities. Both seasons get you 3 points, one season gets you 2 points. Third column, your grades. This is your average grade per class. To get 3 points, you need to be averaging 6 or above out of 7. You won't know that yet because you haven't got your reports. They'll come out on Friday. Every subject gives you an approaches to learning score. If they are all A's, we'll give you 3 points. Up to 2 B's, we'll give you 2. Up to 4 B's, we'll give you 1. And then we have the improvement criteria. If you've maintained your grades since June last year, that's a fairly good achievement because you've moved up into the next grade. We'll give you a point for that. If you've raised your scores by half a point, at least we'll give you 2 points. Now, a couple of extra things there. If you're a new student, you automatically get those 2 points because we have nothing to compare you with. And if you are already achieving 6 or above, we'll give you 2 points as well because there's really nowhere to go once you reach those levels. Okay? It all comes together for a maximum of 12 points. 12 will give you a diamond, 11 a gold, 10 a silver, 8 or 9 a bronze. As objective as we can make it, as fair as we can make it. And this is how you generally do. The students on the left, this is how many students receive each number of points. So what you can see, the ones in the left column, it's about 16 students reach 12 points. They get the Diamond Awards. Slightly more for gold and silver. And then you'll see the students getting the Bronze Award at 9 and 8. There's a big chunk of you with 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 points. That basically means you're doing some of the things that we suggest that you do. Either you've got good attendance, or you're involved in activities, or your grades are good. There's something good going on there, but not the whole package. And that's why you're not quite getting there into the awards. We have 10 students who have 0 points. That's not very good. And I was wondering, sometimes people tell me, usually grade 11 tell me actually, and it's the same every year. Grade 11 say it's really difficult to get these awards when you get into the DP. Maybe. Basically, the number of students getting Dolphin Awards today, fairly divided fairly equally. A bit of a bump in grade 8. Fair enough, there are actually more students in grade 8, so they have a slight advantage. But these awards are available to anybody in the secondary school. Okay, I don't think there's an advantage either way. Now, they're the Dolphin Awards, we'll get on with those in a minute. The other thing we do today, we give out the Learner Profile Awards. We introduced these last year because we realized that there are many students who are doing wonderful things here and who are bringing wonderful characteristics to the school, but that doesn't necessarily mean they get recognized all of the time. But these are the things that we want our students to demonstrate. And when you look at these, I don't want you to think of these characteristics as the kind of things that the good people do, or the nice students, the ones who follow the teacher's instructions. That's not what these words mean at all. In fact, you can probably look at these words, these characteristics, as one of your best defenses against the modern world. As a generation, you're faced with a bombardment of information. And it's not healthy. Every time you turn your phone on, you've got notifications. You've got news stories flashing in front of you. You've got advertisements. You turn the TV on, you turn the computer on, you've got the same thing. Now it's very easy to just listen to all of that, believe it, retweet it, like it, dislike it, share it, whatever you're doing without thinking. And I think that's it's almost a disease of the modern world. Now, the worst thing about all of this is the information that you're being bombarded with wants two things from you. Thing number one, it wants you to believe what it's telling you. Every journalism article wants you to join a particular side. Believe these people, don't believe those people, like these people, dislike these people. And if you don't think about it, you just go along with it. But the second thing, people want you to buy things. Advertisements are not true in any sense, as cool as they look. They're trying to get you to buy things that you don't need in most cases. And again, if you don't think about it very carefully, you end up as a slave to this system and you lose your freedom to think. These kind of characteristics take effort. It's much more difficult to go home and when you're faced with some information, to really think about it, to inquire into a different way of looking at it, to keep an open mind, and eventually to become more knowledgeable about whatever situation you're dealing with. It takes effort, it really does. But I think it's your best protection against what the world's trying to do to you. So the students who you'll see on the stage today are the ones who make that effort. They're the ones who are able to protect themselves and to actually probably enjoy life a little bit more and a little more thoughtfully. So that's why we do this. To get a Learner Profile Award, you had to go through a pretty long process. I asked all of our teachers, that's 40 teachers, to give me a name for each characteristic. When they did that, 100 of you were on the list. 100 different students out of the 280. So then, can't give awards to 100 people. We limited the list to anybody who had been nominated by at least 2 teachers, or for at least 2 different characteristics. That left 50 of you. I then presented that list to all of the departments, the 8 different departments at our school. They looked at the evidence, who had received which kind of votes from which teachers, and each department gave me a nomination for each one. And when we did that, we had the final list, and it made sense, and the students who are on the list are the ones who deserve to be recognized. It's pretty difficult to get to that stage. You've had every teacher looking at what you've done throughout the year. Okay? So that's how the Learner Profile Awards work, and I think it's time to get started.